following is a summary of the Sicha of Shabbos Parshas Vayera, Tovshin Nun 5750. In continuation of what we've spoken about in previous weeks in the Shabbos Parshas Lech Lecha, about learning one item in Torah together, and especially looking at the beginning and the end of the Parsha, we're today going to learn something about the beginning and the end of Parshas Vayera. And something special about this Shabbos is that it is the 20th of the month of Mar Cheshvan, which is the Yom Holedes, the birthday of the Rebbe Rashab, on which Mazolei Gover, his Mazol is very strong. So we're going to connect what we're learning with Chof Cheshvan. The beginning of this week's Parsha is connected with the famous story of the Rebbe Rashab. When he was 4 or 5 years old, he went to his Zayda, the Tzemach Tzedek, and he cried. He had learnt in Cheder about Hashem appearing to Avram, and so the Rebbe, as a young child, went to his Zayda and cried, why did Hashem appear only to Avram and not appear to him, to us? And the Tzemach Tzedek answered, as a Yid of 90 yor, a Yid of 99 years old, if he decides to circumcise himself, he is worthy that Hashem should appear to him. So what we're going to do is to connect the beginning and end of the Sedra with the lesson that we can learn from this story. The beginning of the parasha starts, Vayera Elov Hashem, and Hashem appeared to Avram. Rashi says, why did Hashem come to visit? Levaker es ha'chola, to visit Avram, who was sick. Amar Reb Chana b'Reb Chanina, Yom Shlishi lemilosei hoya. It was the third day of Avram's bris milah, when it was the most painful, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to ask how he was. Now, in last week's Sicha, we brought up the question of how Avram Avinu became a chola, sick, through the bris milah. Seemingly this being the mitzvah which he was commanded him, it should have brought him tremendous joy and, in fact, pleasure to do this mitzvah. And why did it cause him so much pain? So we explained in last week that since the mitzvah had to be connected with the physical flesh, it had to have an experience of the physical flesh. That operation is painful, and hence Avram experienced pain. However, we still need explanation, because at the end of the day, this was the mitzvah that made Avram tomim. It made him complete. It made him a wholesome person. So how did he get so sick from it? And in order to understand this, we need to understand the concept of Bikur Cholim, visiting the sick, what this means that Hashem came to visit the sick. What is the idea of Bikur Cholim by Hashem? The Tzemach Tzedek in Or HaTorah explains the following. He says that Chole, the Hebrew word for sick, Ches Vav Lamed He, is the Gematria 49. And the idea of Chole is that a person is lovesick. In other words, they've reached the 49th gate of understanding, because Bina, understanding, has 50 gates. And when a person has reached the 49th gate, they're on the cusp of the final level of understanding, and they become lovesick for that level of comprehension. When it says that Avram Avinu was sick, he was in fact sick because in essence, in the spiritual realm, he was actually lovesick. Having reached the highest level, he was lovesick to reach the 50th gate, and that expressed itself in the pain from his milah. As we said last week, the bris milah was after Hashem told him, Lech lecha mi'artzecha, And we explained that Artzacha means his Rutzoinus, his own natural desires, and Moiladetecha, his birthplace and the influence of the house of his father. And he became a Tamim, he became complete by the Bris Milah. However, that was all a level of completeness in the parameters of Tachtonim, of the creation. And because he'd reached the highest level to which a created being could reach, now he became lovesick for the even deeper level, stepping even higher than a level than a creation can reach by himself, to reach up to the 50th gate of Bina, of understanding, which actually correlates with the Sephira of Keser. Now we understand why it says, Vayera Elav Hashem, that Hashem appeared to him, Levaker es Achela. Hashem's revealing himself to Avram was in fact to grant him that 50th gate. And hence that was his refuah, that was his healing. That expresses itself in the three words, Vayera Elav Hashem. Vayera means he appeared to him, the highest level of re'iyah, of seeing. Elav, it was to Avram, not in the sense that the revelation created the dissolution of his being, but as he was, as a creation, he had the revelation of Vayera, of the highest level of revelation, and it was Hashem, the greatest level of godliness was revealed to him at this moment. The revelation of the essence which transcended the order of creation. And the way it was revealed had two opposites. On the one level, there was an element of the greatest bittul, the greatest allegiance and nullification of Avram to Hashem, and at the same time, it was permeating his entire being, as we say that a neshama is a chelek elika mimal mamish, mamish from the word mishush, the idea of being able to tap it with one's fingers, the idea that this highest of revelations permeated all through Avram, right throughout his psyche until his physical flesh. And not only did it go and permeate him, but it went even further into his place in the world. And therefore it says, Vayera Elav Hashem be'eloine mamre. It tells us where it was to say that that revelation, if you want, seeped out to Avram's environs. This is also hinted to at the end of the parsha, where we're told of the story of the Akedah and Yitzchak being described as an oila tamima. Oila means a burnt sacrifice, which is the idea of being completely consumed, and at the same time, tamima being complete, which seemed to be an opposite, but the idea is, on one level, there is the complete nothingness of being a burnt sacrifice, total devotion and allegiance, and simultaneously, you have that permeating every fiber of his being. And in fact, that goes right to the end and last word in the Sedra, which is ma'acha, and ma'acha is the Rosh Tevis melech al kol haaretz. By extension, that essence permeating right throughout the whole world. And the reason that this can happen is because when you have an elyon and a tachton, an upper and a lower, what confused them both is the etzem, is the essence. And what was revealed over here was an essence, and consequently, it could fuse the highest and lowest of levels together. This is connected also with what we read at Mincha time, the parsha of Chaye Sarah, when we're told that Sarah was 127 years old, Meya Shana, Esrim Shana, and Sheva Shanim. The idea of Meya correlates with Rotzoin and Tainug, will and desire. Esrim Shana, 20 years, correlates with Moichin, the intellect. And Sheva, 7, correlates with the emotions, the midos. So when we say that Kulon Shavin Latova, all of Sarah's years were equal, that means that this essence permeated right through all the echelons of her being, through her Ratzain and Tainug and Moichin and Midos, so much so that she was Sarah al-Hakoil. She ruled over all of them. And this is the sequence of the three parashiyos of Lech Lecha, Vayera, and Chayei. In Lech Lecha, Hashem says to Avram, go out of your nature. That's the idea of Bittul and Mesiras Nefesh. Vayera is the revelation of the 50th gate, when Hashem came to visit the sick. And Chayei is bringing that essence down through all the echelons and fiber of the 100, of the 20, and of the 7, right throughout one's being. This is connected also with the 20th Cheshvan, which is this Shabbos. When we say that the Rebbe, at the age of 4 or 5, cried, why doesn't Hashem appear to him? This was also an expression of cholas ava, of lovesickness. And specifically, the Rebbe Rashab asked his question in this parsha. He could have asked the question when Hashem had appeared to Noach, or when Hashem had appeared previously to Avram. Why did he only cry now? The answer is that even one who is on the highest of levels, like Avram was, after he had achieved all the previous elevations, he'd reached the 49th gate. Nevertheless, he still needs to cry for that 50th gate. The lesson being that we should never suffice with attainment in our service of God, but always look to strive higher. This is connected with the name of the Rebbe Rashab himself, Shalom Dovber. Shalom is one of the names of Hashem, which is the idea of the essence of Hashem, and Dovber means a bear who has much flesh. In other words, the essence of Hashem permeates right through, even to the fattest of the flesh. And this we see in the Chassidus of the Rebbe Rashab, who took the deepest elements and made them available in intellect and in perception. And further, by extension to the world of creating the yeshiva of Tomchei Tmimim, who made the Chayolei Beis David, the soldiers of the house of David, who took this message out to the world through Hafotzas Hayadus, spreading Yiddishkeit, and Hafotzas Hamayonos Chutza, especially through the son of the Rebbe Rashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, who made HaKadosh Baruch Hu Macha Melech al Kol Haaretz. The lesson that we can learn from all of the above is that we shouldn't only suffice with desiring a higher place, but we should actually reach it. And we can reach it through additional Torah study, fulfillment of mitzvahs in a beautiful manner, and spreading Yiddishkeit and the inner dimension of the Torah outwards. And it should all be in a way like the Rebbe Rashab gave out the Kuntras Heicholzu, whose content is that of Avas Yisrael, through a Fabrengen and through true Avas Yisrael. This is more emphasized and most emphasized in the year Tovshin Nun, a year of Nisim, which the idea of Nes is Haroma, lifting up and elevation, and the word Nisim has the letter Nun in it, which is a hint to the Shar Hanun, to the 50th gate, that it permeates all elements of the world. V'yehi ratzon, may it be Hashem's will, that on this Shabbos we should already have the revelation of Vayera Elav Hashem, the 50th gate, and on Motzei Shabbos, by Malav Malka, we should, together with the Frierdiker Rebbe, whose name is, one of his names is Yitzchak, as we say that in future the principle of the Avos is Yitzchak Avinu, that we should go together with them all to the Beis Hamikdash, Takef Umiyad Mamash.